following is an exclusive presentation of Ravens Productions.
This week on Ravens Report, we sit down with head coach John Harbaugh as the Ravens look to rebound from last week's loss to the Saints. We visit Towson University, where another Flacco is making a lot of noise this season. Plus, we preview Sunday's game in Carolina. All of that and more coming up on this week's Ravens Report.
Flacco takes the snap, throws it inside the 5. He's got Mark Andrews. Touchdown, Ravens!
One play at a time. Win your one-on-one battles, and we'll win the game. Be great on 2. 1, 2. Be great.
Ravens on 3. 1, 2, 3. Right.
Hey everyone, welcome to Ravens Report from the Under Armour Performance Center. I'm Erin Hawksworth. Last week's loss to the Saints, it still hurts, right? A heartbreaker, so close. But the Ravens must move on and respond this week against the Panthers. Baltimore's defense limited Drew Brees and the Saints' passing attack to their lowest output of the season. Impressive. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough. But if there is a positive that we can take away from last week's loss, it's that the Ravens went head-to-head for 60 minutes against one of the best teams in the NFL, a potential Super Bowl contender from the NFC. So before we turn our attention to this week's matchup in Carolina, let's go all access to the Ravens' back-and-forth game with the Saints.
M&T Bank Stadium, and fall has arrived. Sunny, windy and chilly. It feels like football as the Ravens come back home for the first time in a month.
Where we at right now? Huh? Where we at right now? So what we gonna do?
Man for man. We just gotta play together. We just gotta play together and play our Ravens style football.
This is absolutely the atmosphere we have waited for all season, and it has arrived today. It will be ones against ones right out of the gate. The #1 scoring offense in the NFL, the #1 scoring defense in the NFL. And now they will go for it on 4th down for a 3rd time this drive. Taysom Hill sets at the quarterback spot with the shotgun. He'll take the direct snap, pitches it to the outside. It's fumbled, loose ball, and the Ravens have it. It's Michael Pierce falling on the ball at the 6-yard line. The New Orleans Saints for the opening possession, 20 plays, 10 minutes and 3 seconds, no points.
Let's just keep balling. We're ready to go now. Now they're in their offense. Now we're in the rhythm now, right? We're in the rhythm.
On a day built for football, we expected something of an offensive shootout. Eric Weddle and the Ravens defense have to settle in now. The temperatures are dropping as the shadows have swallowed the field now. 1:53 to play in the first half.
Hey, what do you say, fellas? Let's go get one today, all right?
Looking over the middle, he slings it complete to John Brown. He's got room at the 40, hits the accelerator 30. Brown leg race 20, 15, 10, 5, and he's taken down at the 2-yard line. A 56-yard gain. John Brown.
Okay, come on, man. Hey, that's what I'm talking about, bro.
Lamar Jackson will come on. Flacco splits wide to the right.
You're on, Willie, you're on!
Jackson takes the snap. Keeps it in for the touchdown. And the rookie from Louisville puts the Ravens back in front. And Lamar Jackson with his first NFL touchdown.
Hell yeah, great job! Way to keep fighting, let's keep it going now, all right?
You get that gnawing feeling that the final score of this game won't resemble 10-7. Flacco to throw. Under pressure, running to the right. Buying time, slings it far sideline. Crabtree reaches up and makes the catch.
Let's go, Chris. Work your release, Chris.
Flacco on 2nd down, throws complete to the 10-yard line. Chris Moore has it.
Let's go! Yeah! Let's go!
Flacco takes the snap, looking to his right, throws it inside the 5. He's got Mark Andrews. Andrews lifted in. Touchdown, Ravens!
Touchdown! Yeah, baby. Hell yeah.
Crab, you made it. Crab, you made that drive. That drive. Let's do it. Great job, Bones. Don't catch your breath. You're coming back out. Keep fighting, Bones.
Drew's made some incredible plays. I mean, you got to tip your hat to one of the best ever. He extended some plays. We had him wrapped up, just finding a way to make a play. And not many guys can do that in the history of the game. So Listen, we could have played better defensively at times. We could have executed the calls better. We could have communicated better, but you know, at times the guy just makes a great play and the receiver makes a great catch.
And in for the touchdown is Michael Thomas as the Saints regain the lead. And this is now up to Joe Flacco on the offense to see if they can't extend this game to overtime. Flacco to throw from the shotgun. Under pressure, steps up, fires down the middle, complete to Crabtree. Crabtree down to the 42-yard line of the Saints.
Let's go! Hurry up, 180!
Flacco with the snap. Steps up. Swing pass comes to Buck Allen near sideline, sidestep the tackle. He's to the 25, 20, 15, and pushed out of bounds there. Flacco from the 15, fires to the end zone. John Brown has it. Touchdown, Ravens!
Touchdown! Woo!
Joe Flacco just went Drew Brees and marched the Ravens 81 yards down the field.
Hell yeah!
Good man, Smokey. There you go.
Now Justin Tucker for the extra point try. Tucker's extra point to tie the game. The kick is up, and it is no good! No good! And there's not a single person in this stadium who can believe what we just saw.
Every kicker, every football player is going to come across a challenging moment. If you play long enough, you're going to have a kick that you want back, and tonight was that night for me.
He's the best. He's the best in the business at what he does, and he'll handle it great. And he'll be back next week winning games for us. I'm very certain.
The best thing that I can do to be the best teammate possible is work hard to make the next kick.
Still to come on Ravens Report, John Harbaugh turns the page on last week's game against the Saints and previews Sunday's matchup against the Panthers. Welcome back to Ravens Report. I'm Erin Hawksworth. The Ravens have never lost to the Panthers under John Harbaugh, so in order to continue that streak on Sunday, the Ravens could look to receiver John Brown, who's having a great season. Brown is one of only 4 players in the NFL to have 4 touchdowns, 500 yards receiving, and average over 15 yards per catch. The other 3? A.J. Green, Tyreek Hill, and DeAndre Hopkins. Garrett Downing caught up with head coach John Harbaugh to look ahead to the challenges that the Panthers present.
Coach, thank you very much for the time. Let's start last week and then work our way forward. Obviously, that game is probably one of the toughest moments of Justin Tucker's career, but I was really struck by the way that players rallied around him in that moment and then throughout the week. And he had this quote yesterday where he said that this team is built differently in that regard. How have you seen the way that this team's built differently?
Well, I mean, I think it's true. You know it when you see it. You know, it's a brotherhood. We're going to play like a Raven. We're going to be disciplined, and we're going to have each other's backs at all times. And to see the guys actually do that, but they've been doing that all along. You know, it's never won by one play. It's never lost by one play. It's always a team effort. To me, that's one of the beauties of football too. It's one of the many reasons that parents and moms should want their sons to play football, because it teaches the kind of lessons like that they're going to carry over for the rest of their life and whatever they're doing. So to see our guys do that, model that, you know, for everybody to see, I got to be honest with you, I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, one thing that kind of flew under the radar in that game a little bit is that you had 2 rookies make their first start on the offensive line, which is pretty rare. What'd you think of the way Bradley Bozeman and Orlando Brown played in their debuts?
Yeah, they played good football. I mean, it's a very good pass rushing team, and Joe was kept clean. It's a great compliment to Joe D as well as a great coach. But you know, we're going to need those guys going forward, you know, more than ever. And the fact that they have the game experience now, I think is real helpful for us.
Another guy who had a big game is John Brown. And he, through the first 7 games, has more than 500 receiving yards. He's found the end zone 4 times. We've seen the big play ability and what he can do there. What has he given you on offense that has just allowed him to be so explosive?
Well, I mean, he's a good player. You know, he's a fast player. He runs good routes. We've been talking about this, Garrett, all the way through. You know, he's a complete receiver. I think John has played exceptionally well. Nothing different than what we expected. He's been hurt the last couple of years. I mean, that's kind of what held him back the last couple of years. I think he's healthy, and he's ready to roll.
We look ahead this week to the Carolina Panthers. There's no let up in the schedule. You obviously got to go back on the road, face a team that's led by Cam Newton. By the way, did you see what Weddle said about Cam this week? Called him a dinosaur. Have you ever used that comparison for a player?
No, only in the terms of extinction or whatever. I never thought of it quite in terms of a raging dinosaur, you know.
But when you look at them, obviously Cam dominates so much of the conversation. What stands out when you look at these guys on film?
Well, they're a good team. I mean, they're well coached and they're a balanced football team. Both sides of the ball. They have an excellent defense. Good skill players on offense. Cam does run the show, but number 22 back to McCaffrey is a running back, as a runner and as a pass receiver, does a great job. They've got young receivers. Funchess, the Michigan guy. Luke Kuechly, one of the best middle linebackers in football. Wink already threw down the gauntlet. He already said it. So we'll find out who the best middle linebacker in football is, and that's great. That's a good challenge. And but they've got a really good front. Of course, Julius Peppers, speaks for himself. So it's a really good football team, a 4-2 team. We're going down to their place. We got to play our best ball.
Excellent, Coach. Well, we look forward to that on Sunday. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, Garrett.
Still to come on Ravens Report. This weekend's matchup between Towson and Delaware is sure to be strange in the Flacco house. We visit Towson University as Joe's younger brother Tom has the Tigers in first place in the CAA. That's next.
How do you respond to a punch in the gut? With excuses? Complaining it's not fair? Not us. We respond differently. The kind of different that's been through the fire, knocked down, and come back stronger. Different. Together, we chase perfection. We fight for everything, and what we're chasing requires all of us. The only thing that matters is the response. And our response will be nothing less than everything we got.
Welcome back to Ravens Report. I'm Erin Hawksworth. Football runs in the Flacco family's blood. This fall, Joe's younger brother Tom joined him in Baltimore, and he's having a great season at quarterback for Towson University. Even though they're 10 years apart, the two brothers have a lot in common. Evan Washburn has more with the Flacco brothers.
Back in June, as quarterback Joe Flacco prepared for his 11th NFL season, there was another Flacco nearby looking to re-energize his football career. Tom Flacco, Joe's youngest brother, transferred to Towson University with plans of earning the Tigers' starting quarterback job. Now, 4 months later, Tom has led the Tigers to a 6-1 start. And with Joe's alma mater, Delaware, on the schedule for this weekend, the Flacco brothers' football journeys have come full circle. Tom, your brother, starring now just down the road at Towson. I'm sure that creates a lot of emotions, but what's the best way to describe what this experience has been like for you?
It's just been really cool. I mean, I haven't, even when he's 10 years younger than I am. I'm the oldest, he's the youngest. So even when he was in high school, I didn't really get a chance to see him play too much because I was either in college or I guess I was probably in the NFL by then. So it was tough to get home and watch him play. So the fact that I've actually been able to get to his first game and then either stream him or see him on TV back at my house the last few weeks has been really cool for me to actually get a chance to see him play for real, and it's been a lot of fun.
Tom Flacco's journey is remarkably similar to Joe's. Both started at big-time schools, Joe at the University of Pittsburgh and Tom at Western Michigan. Joe, of course, eventually transferred to Delaware and led them to the national championship game in 2007. After a stop at Rutgers, Tom landed at Towson, which just so happens to be a conference rival of Delaware's. But Tom doesn't credit his recent success to the family name.
I never have something to prove when it comes to Joe and my family. It's always, I've been overlooked, and I don't know why, because you think that I wouldn't be overlooked as a Flacco, maybe if someone would look at me, but they didn't. So it's always been that. No one thinks I'm good enough, so I'm going to go show that. It's not about my name.
This offseason, Towson head coach Rob Ambrose was in search of a starting quarterback. Ambrose joined Towson as the head coach in 2009, and after 3 playoff appearances in his first 4 years, including a trip to the national championship in 2013, it has been 4 years since the Tigers had a playoff berth. The program needed a leader, and when Coach Ambrose first met Tom Flacco, he knew he had found his guy.
Part of the reason that he's here and that he won the starting job has to do with his maturity. That he's an older kid, he's been through the ringer, and he knows what's real. And what's real is what we do. Having to live in the shadow of your brother is a difficult thing to do. And he handles that probably better than I would have ever anticipated.
But at what point does the name become something that you're drawn to?
It wasn't a consideration in the decision. but it's enjoyable for people to be able to market that, especially around here. Football's a big deal in this town, and to have two brothers doing so well, that's kind of cool.
The Tigers are now ranked number 10 in the country and sit in first place in their conference with a 4-0 record. There's a buzz on campus around this football team again, and a big reason is Tom's performance so far this season. His 17 touchdown passes are good for 8th best in the country, but unlike his brother, he also leads his team in rushing yards. His style as a player has been described, as I've come to learn it, as a little bit different than maybe his older brothers. How would you describe it?
He's extremely competitive. The two things that I find in them both is that they're both very accurate passers, and they're both extremely competitive. How Tom goes about his business is a little bit different.
I think we do have a lot of similarities. I think it's tough to deny when you watch him and to not see yourself in a lot of things that he does. But he's definitely different than I am in terms of how he can use his legs and the confidence that he has in doing those kind of things.
The oldest of 6, Joe describes the Flacco family as about as close as you can be, but Tom is almost 10 years younger than Joe, so there wasn't as much backyard football between the brothers as you might think.
We had a schoolyard right next to us, and they had a basketball court. And that's what I remember playing Joe against. It was basketball, just shooting games, because it's something that when you're a little kid, you can still shoot, But football, I'm definitely not going to. My brother Mike and him, come on. I wouldn't be able to play against those guys when I was small.
When I was 18 and he was 8, if we were going to play a pickup football game in the schoolyard, then he could have went out there and we could have let him count, a little bit.
Well, maybe the athleticism came from survival too.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
You got to avoid.
There's no doubt when you're 6th in line that you're going to have a little bit more skills than some of the other guys.
October 27th, it's Towson in Delaware. Look, family's always first, but that should be a unique opportunity for you in terms of where your career really took off and where Tom is right now at Towson.
Yeah, it'll be cool, and I think it'll be cool for him too, just because there's obviously a little bit of connection there, just with our family in Delaware and now Towson. So I think it'll be probably a cool atmosphere for him.
And in typical Flacco fashion, Tom is remaining very even-keeled about the Delaware game, returning to a stadium where he watched his older brother play.
I don't know. I don't really think about that much. Maybe when I get there, I'll be like, oh, it's pretty cool. I used to be in those stands, but it's a nice stadium. I'm excited to go there and play at that stadium.
Lastly, when you guys have the time, do you have the time to put football away and just spend time together as brothers now that you live so close to one another?
Yeah, of course. I love going over to his house, not to see him, but to see my nephews and my niece. I mean, they're awesome. I was at Western Michigan. I missed those things, You don't realize that you miss them until you're back and you're like, oh, yeah, I did miss those when I was out there.
And who knows, maybe Tom Flacco will lead Towson back to the national championship game, just the way his older brother Joe did at Delaware. The hope is there's plenty of playoff football to talk about in Baltimore come December.
Coming up next on Ravens Report, last week Lamar Jackson scored his first career touchdown. The next day, he and his teammates were on the field again, this time as part of the Ravens' 7th annual team challenge. That's coming up next. Welcome back to Ravens Report. I'm Erin Hawksworth. Last Sunday, rookie quarterback Lamar Jackson scored his first career NFL touchdown. On Monday, Lamar was joined by his fellow rookies at the Under Armour house in downtown Baltimore. The Ravens hosted their 7th annual team challenge as part of the 2018 NFL United Way Hometown Huddle. Over 100 local kids tested their physical endurance and learned good sportsmanship and the value of teamwork.
How's everybody doing today? Good. Yes! Is everybody excited?
Today we're at the UA House in Baltimore City, and we're here celebrating our annual Hometown Huddle event. Each year we partner with different schools. This year we partnered with Curtis Bay Elementary to pretty much have a day of play.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wear it like this. It's cool. Bet. Let's get it. Oh, we got the walk. Come on, yellow, yellow. Come on, let's go, yellow. Oh, yeah. Let's go. Oh, we did it. Oh, white down there. White that way. I wish I was able to, join Pay 60 when I was younger. It's fun time, to have the kids, the ones that look up to you, want to be in, your shoes one day in life. Just come out and have fun with them.
1, 2, 3.
For a lot of the kids that we work with across Baltimore City, they're really excited to see the players and have an opportunity to interact with them because they don't necessarily get to go to the games. And so for the kids, and even for many of the adults here, the Ravens represent hometown heroes, and so it's always amazing when we can get together and really build community.
Good catch! This way, Oh.
In addition to that, October is anti-bullying month. As many people know, bullying, whether it's in school or cyberbullying, is probably at an all-time high right now. So we wanted to use today as an opportunity to educate these students about how to stop bullying, about how not to be a bully, and how to recognize when a bullying incident is occurring, and how to stop it.
We gotta touch the wall when we score, right?
I think today was amazing, particularly when you look at the children. They are learning really amazing skills and values through games, and that's what kids inherently love to do, is really get out there and play, and today they definitely played their hearts out.
Oh yeah, good pass! Oh yeah! Oh. Kids pay 60 a day.
This weekend, the Ravens take the short flight to Charlotte, a place the Ravens haven't played since 2010. The Panthers are coming off a big NFC win last week in Philadelphia and scored 21 unanswered points in the second half to get the victory. Joe Flacco and the offense will aim to outperform Cam Newton and the Panthers. Flacco is statistically off to the best start of his career and ranks 5th in the NFL in passing yards. It should be a fun one in Carolina. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on Ravens Report. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you next week.